In this video, we will decode what is really leading to boom in Indian credit card market, what factors are affecting it, which banks are doing good, and all those things. And we'll study data from financial year 2023 to financial year 2026. What you need to understand, when I say financial year 23, it actually means 1st April 22 to 31st March 23. And similarly, financial year 24 means 1st April 23 to 31st March 24. If you look at from this financial year to this financial year, there are 3 periods that's over. So essentially, if you are calculating growth, it's over 3 period. Whatever is the metrics here, if that metrics you are comparing against this, it's 1 year, against this 2 year, against this 3 year. Now let's come back to the main question. What is really driving the business? Is it number of cards or is it spend per card? Let's see that by actual data, and let's first look at the whole industry. So for financial year wise, I'm going to take credit card purchase value, number of credit card, and I'm also calculating spend per card, which is purchase value by number of cards. If you just look at the charts, you look at it, the total purchase value changed from 1432 to 23.62, which is roughly 65% jump. If you want to look at the exact number and exact figure, you can go to this blog. I'll post this link on the description and other places so you can see this blog. And here are all the numbers and everything is given to you so that if you want, you can check it. So now if you look at the purchase volume has increased from here to here, which is roughly 65%, and I'll see the jump in like that also. And if you look at this, it's sum of cards. So essentially, you have April 23 figure, April 22 figure, May 22 figure till March 23. You sum this all, that is what it is giving you. And if you take average of that, it will actually give you a representative figure for that particular month. So if you look at, so roughly you can say 20.9 to 9 billion is a representative figure for the 2023 financial year. And you can see clearly it's like jump of good jump here. And if you look at number of credit card, you can see the jump, one from 1.35 to 1.78, which is again roughly 45% kind of jump. And look at the jump in spend per card. It's 14.93 to 17.27, not much, right? So now let's come back to the main question again and look at what is really driving the growth. So once again, I will go and just select the relative change in percentage change because that's what we were talking also. So if you look at the relative change in the percentage value of purchase value, I'll remove the column total here because column total is actually grand total, which is a string here. So I'll remove the column total here and now this should be fine. So now if you look at that, it's saying relative percentage change is 64%. So whatever was here, the purchase volume, this volume is 64%, 65% up from that figure. So whatever purchase volume was happening in financial year 23 year, 26 is 65% more than that. In terms of number of credit card, it's 42%. And in terms of spend per card, it's 15%. Then how do you get the impact of each factor, spend per card or number of cards? What you need to understand, these factors are multiplying. Spend per card into number of card actually gives you the total purchase volume. And that's why it's not A plus B that okay, A impact of A is A divided by A plus B. Then how do you get the impact of this kind of situation, which is multiplication factor? You do that easily by taking log. And if you take the log, this impact of this 42.63% comes actually 71%. I've given some calculations here on this blog, and you can calculate that if you take log, it's 71%. And if you take the impact of spend per card, it's actually 29%. So that's the impact. So primarily, the growth in India, in Indian credit card market is being led by the explosive growth in number of credit cards, followed by spend per card. That's one thing. Now, coming back to something else, can this total jump is actually the total jump is 64%. But can you calculate CAGR? What is CAGR? Let me come back to the PPT and explain you once again. So see this figure, just keep in mind when you are summing number of credit card and summing number of total purchase volume, it actually gives you spend per card per month. Because even if you divide by 12 both the figures, and then also it will give you the same figure. So it's essentially spend per card per month. So in India, people were spending 14,900 per card every month, and annual figure is obviously 1,80,000. So what is CAGR? The definition of CAGR, relative percentage change, is very simple. Let me just show you by formula, but because that will help you a lot. So relative percentage change, it's very simple. You are taking financial year 2023 figure, 26 figure, and dividing that by 23 figure. So essentially it's this figure divided by this figure. That's what gives you the jump in credit card is 42.6. In purchase value, if you look at, it's 64.9, and in case of spend per card, it's 15.6. But that's over period. If you want to get one figure which gives you what is that growth which is happening year over year, that you get through CAGR. And CAGR is a figure which, like you can say, on an average, this is how the monthly figure is changing. Let me show you that by example. So let's say these are the purchase value between each year, and the CAGR is 18.15. So essentially, 1 will become 1.815. So now, if you look at, you multiply this figure by 1.815, you get 1.69. Again, you multiply this by 1.815, 1.1815, you get this figure, and again you multiply it by 1.1815, you get 23622, very much close to this. Whatever is not matching is just because of rounding error. So essentially, you can say that on an average, whatever was the purchase value of 2023, it increased every year by 18.15%. And out of that 18.15%, now look at the CAGR of other metrics. So CAGR of other metrics, number of credit card is 12%. So roughly 12.5% growth has come, 12.57 growth has come because of number of credit card, and 4.96 because of spend per card. And the impact of this is obviously 71%, this is 29%. Now, which banks are actually giving? So here you have this CAGR of 18.15. You have CAGR of credit card is 12.57. And don't go by CUGR. It's all because this system allows you to calculate compounding growth even by month. So we are just calling it cumulative growth rate. When the numbers are yearly, it actually is nothing but yearly growth rate, like that. So it's CAGR. So let's do this way, that let's calculate for each and every bank, and let's see how different banks are performing over. And I'm going to take get bank by bank detail here. And this time, what I'm going to do, I'm going to calculate for each bank separately, because now it is for each bank. So I'll just break it when the group changes here. So MX to AU, I'll not, I'll do for each group separately. So now look at the purchase value, and from here itself you can see HDFC is having consistent growth. Look at SBI. Here there are 2 years almost similar, and here you have jump. Look at ICICI growth, but here it is not. And look at this IndusInd. Look at some of these smaller player. Look at here. It grown and has dipped. Same goes for Kotak, and you have a similar situation with others. So you have these figures of purchase value, and you can take a look at their relative final change. So you can see that on an average, the figure of Federal Bank is 212%. So essentially, whatever was their figure of 2023 financial year, 2026 figure is more than double. You want to validate it? You can. Let me show you that. So essentially, you can go here and look at the figure of federal. Okay. So here it was 79 and look at here 249. So obviously, if it was 80, you can say, you know, 80 into 2 is 160, and that would have led to 240. It's more than double. So that's the kind of relative change that it is showing. That is the kind of increase that it has, right? It's almost more than 3 times. And in percentage jump, as you can say, it has jumped from 79 to like more than 200%. And same way, like for any region, if you want to compare the industry figure, let's do that. Industry figure, if you want to compare the same thing for the industry figure, 14.32 to 23, 65% jump in purchase value, which the graph will show you here. Just wait, just 1 second. I'll not break it because there is no different group here. So you are getting 65% jump here, right? Whatever was the figure, 65% jump. But in case of Federal Bank, it's 200% jump, and that's what is leading to the huge impact. So let me just come back to the main thing that I was doing here, and I'll break the computation so that it is doing for each group separately. I'll just go to the, so that it does for each group separately. So now look at the final impact once again. So Federal Bank has 212% jump, followed by IDFC, which again has phenomenal. Yes, is doing good. And on the fourth place, you have Bank of Baroda, right? Bank of Baroda, HSBC, but these are a smaller player. Look at for the bigger player, it is in the range of 60 to 70. SBI in the same range, HDFC in the same range, ICICI in the same range. Obviously, all three, SBI, HDFC, and ICICI is very close to each other. But Axis is showing jump because Axis acquired Citi portfolio, and that's why Citi is showing you negative growth. If you look at CUGR, it's actually CAGR because these are annual figures. So look at here. In case of SBI, it is 18% year over year. The spend volume is increasing by 18% per year. And in case of HDFC, 18.81. In case of SBI, 17.83. So pretty close to each other. ICICI slightly more, 18.47. So you have these figures. Now look at the change in the purchase in the credit card, number of credit cards, how many credit cards on an average they are adding. So Federal is hugely led by the number of credit cards. It's 371%. So it's almost like they became 4 times of what they were. You want to validate these figures? Again, you can validate. Let me show you Federal separately so that you can validate this figure. So it was 4.34 and here it became 20. It's almost, you can say, 5 times, and 400% kind of jump, 300% kind of jump, which has like 4.3 and 300% got added here. That's why it is almost 4 times kind of that. That's what you see here, and that's what the graph is showing you. That jump is 371%, followed by IDFC, which is 262, followed by AU, South Indian, all these banks. City obviously reduced because of whatever reason. And now look at spend per card. That's again very interesting figure. And spend per card will show you negative for someone like Federal. Why? Because here spend per card actually has gone down over period. If you look at spend per card for Federal, it's going down. It's from 12,000, 15, 18,000, it's gone down to 12,000. And same way, look for IndusInd. It from 30,000, it has gone down to 22,000. And that's why if you look at final relative change in SPC, spend per card, these are negative for each player. For some player, it is positive. HSBC is doing good, healthy jump. You can see 76. IDBI doing good job. But look at bigger players. All bigger players are in the range of 15%, right? But this 15% is over 3 year. HDFC, even less, 13.17. Axis slightly more because obviously because of acquisition, and ICICI is also on the higher side 22.06. But if you look at their CAGR, right, that CAGR annual figure, again it's giving you 4.2, SBI 4.96, and ICICI is slightly more like 7, and RBL is 8. Obviously these are having slightly more jump in the spend per card, not just addition of the card. And obviously like these player looks like these player are doing a lot of probably corporate or business kind of SME kind of sourcing, that they have huge jump in spend per card year over year. So that's what it is showing you. And you know that okay, which bank is doing damn good, which bank is not doing damn good. Now let's look at the questions. So we understand CAGR. CAGR is roughly, it is called cumulative, or in mathematical terms it's called geometric progression. It's giving you what is the annual growth rate. Now let's look at which bank is having best acceleration. We answered that question. And which bank, now that's a very interesting question. Acceleration sometimes can be very confusing. Why? Because if you think of, like if you are just at 100 and you became 500, it's 400% jump. But what about if someone was 1 million and became 2 million? He still added much more than what you have added. So look at the change in the absolute value, not in the relative terms. So all I'm going to do this time, I'll just going to study the absolute change, not the relative change, bank by bank. So let's do that. So I'm going to do the relative change, and let's take a look at the relative change. Obviously here, HDFC, SBI, all these players are going to dominate. So HDFC has added 2.7 trillion in its figure of 2023, financial year 2023. Let's validate it so that we can understand this much better. So I'm going to study just the HDFC. So you are 3.9, 4.7. So obviously you added a fair bit of 2.71 trillion in this financial year. And that's what that graph is showing you, that it added 2.717 trillion here. It's like rounding error, rounding stuff. How much SBI added? SBI card added 1.66 trillion, and ICICI added 1.71, followed by Axis. These are the four big players that you have. And Federal and other player, if you look at, they are still very small players. Like still they have not added much. They are just started, but they are they are someone like who should be watched because they have very high acceleration. So similarly, in number of credit card, if you look at how much on an average they have added across, I should say 3 year period. This may look confusing because you are taking average and you are doing that. But what I can do here, I can quickly show you monthly figure, because that will give you a very good understanding here. So in lieu of financial year, what I'm going to do, I'll just take the year and the month here. I'm so sorry here. It just a lot of things has come here. So let me just remove that and just quickly go back to the same stuff. I'm going to take the year and I'm going to get the month here. So that now I'm doing year and month wise figure. So now you have, so look at now how much it has been added by each player in these 3 years, because for number of credit card, probably this makes more sense than taking average and then or taking sum. So look at the computation wise. So HDFC has added, in terms of number of credit card, it has added 9.4 million record, right? 94 lakhs records. If any reason you want to study it in Indian terminology, because most of us are like find it relatively easy to understand Indian terminology. So let me convert that into Indian terminology, change number format to Indian terminology. It will be easy for me to talk about. So if you go ahead and take a look at the graph, I'm sure it would have got updated by now. So look at the change in number of credit card. So HDFC added 94.8 lakhs card. SBI added 81.5 lakhs card in how many period? It's actually April 22 to March 20, April 23 to 22 to March 26. So in fact 47 months, not 48 months, but in 47 months you can see that how many cards have been added and who are the big player. Obviously HDFC, followed by SBI, followed by Axis, and followed by ICICI, and then you have IDFC. IDFC in that sense is doing good job. Look at it, added 36 lakhs, and then 20 lakhs have been added by federal. I hope you found this long-term study quite interesting. If you have more question or you want to understand something more, you can just contact us. We can explain you further. You can go through this document also, which actually gives you all the figure and everything. Thank you for watching.